Well, good afternoon. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our Decluttering Battle Plan, Part 1. And this is going to be a wonderful use of your time this afternoon. We're going to get started. And I just want to thank you for carving out the time in your day to join us. It's so exciting to us to see so many people here. And I think this is going to be really positive for you. And I want to congratulate you on attending because it's going to make a big difference. So let's get started. I want to begin by introducing myself. My name is Sharon Parento, and I am a realtor with Keller Williams. The thing that I loved about Keller Williams when I joined was that they allowed me to create my own brand, and that is the S.M.A.R.T Realty Solutions brand. And this is something that is very passionate and close to my heart. Downsize and business. One of the things that became very evident to me was that people were being held into a property that they weren't really being served by anymore. In some cases, it had become more of a burden than a blessing. But the thing that they would say to me when I knocked on their door, they would say, "I'd love to move, but have you seen my basement or my garage or whatever? What am I going to do with all this stuff?" So after hearing this repeatedly, I decided that the best thing to do was, rather than knocking a door and a door and a door, that I would pull all this together, create a seminar, and we delivered these in communities in person until COVID forced us to digitize our business platforms. And so that's why you're here today. We can deliver this message so effectively and safely to you and get you started on the right track for decluttering your life. My goal today is that your future would be bigger than your past by getting rid of some of the surplus stuff. And we're going to help you with that. We're going to partner with you all along the way. So in serving our community, including being on the board of trade, including reaching out to seniors groups and doing innovative programs like condo tours in various market centers, we always want to be coming from contribution. So you'll notice today's offering was completely free. There is no cost, no obligation. And we really do believe that by coming to contribution, we are going to help educate and inform, and that makes ultimately better clients down the road. So I hope you will take notes. And at the end of today's presentation, you're also going to have an opportunity to sign up for free offers that are going to give you concrete, specific plans, and we're going to get you moving forward. So welcome. I hope you feel welcome today. I've introduced myself, and if at any point you would like to leave a comment in the chat box, we're going to do our best to respond to those at the very end of the presentation. Okay, so we're going to start by dealing with both the negative aspects of being cluttered and also the positive aspects of creating a plan for you. So in human behavior, it's always a matter of the carrot and the stick, right? So you can either be moving towards something that is pleasant and desirable and having that goal, or you can be actively moving away from something that is unpleasant. And I know we have all heard this before, but you might be surprised when you tabulate, when you calculate the high cost of clutter as it takes root in our lives. And you know what? Not a single person I've met is completely immune from this bad case of affluenza that we all are stricken with, where we have more than we need. So let's get started on providing you with a clear-cut path to a clutter-less less cluttered future. Okay, so when I'm dealing with my downsizing clients, like I said, being in a home that is cluttered with possessions is overwhelming. It's literally like a wall sometimes. Now, I'm not talking about people who have hoarding. That's not what we're here for. I'm not a trained psychiatrist or psychologist. I'm a realtor. And so everything that I am presenting to you is through that filter, through the lens of being a realtor who helps people get their houses ready for sale. And when we talk about this, the word that I frequently hear is overwhelming. That we would love to downsize, we would love to declutter, but we don't know how to start. And what ends up happening is that because of the physical, perhaps constraints of aging, or the emotional burden of parting with these items, a decision that is deferred and put off and delayed. So may I humbly assert, with all due humility, because I fall into this category as well, I don't think you have a stuff problem if that's why you're here. You have a procrastination problem, if anything. And so when we talk about this, we recognize that we end up pushing off the concerns about clutter, and someday turns into weeks, into months, into years. So you're here today because you recognize a couple of different things, possibly. A, that you have more possessions than you need. B, that these are going to be a problem for you someday. And C, that there is some kind of blockage preventing you from addressing that situation. So we are going to work with you. And what I see over and over again is that clutter is the enemy that holds people prisoner in a home that no longer suits their needs. So using that and extending that metaphor, we are going to get into defeating that enemy with a very straightforward strategy, but one that I think you're going to find inspiration from. So let's just break this down a bit more. When we live in a cluttered environment, it can take such a toll on us, both emotionally, physically, and financially. We think of the times when our home is cluttered and we're maybe embarrassed to entertain as much as we'd like to. Or maybe our home, especially during our COVID shutdown, has not been the safe haven and the place of quiet and peace and tranquility, because we're irritated by what we see around us, the clutter. So if your home is not a harmonious sanctuary, then there's some changes we can make. And even thinking of the financial impact, that we know that people often have to repurchase items that they know full and well that they have, but they just can't find them. Maybe it makes you late because you can't find it. Maybe you are anxious or distressed by it because it's a matter of just living in this environment. And then I also want to think of the time and efficiency that it causes. I mentioned being late, well, or not being able to find things when you need them, or it steals your time. Do you know that the average person spends an entire year of their life looking for lost items? And I can tell you, it's one of my hot button triggers. It's always my glasses. I need my glasses to find my glasses. And there's lots of times when I'm heading out the door and then I realize I don't have my glasses and I need them to drive. So on we go, retracing our step. I also want you to think about the financial impact. Do you know, so many of us are living in homes that are bigger than we need. And if you think of the usable space you actually inhabit versus the amount of space that you maintain merely because you've got stuff to house, I think it's safe to say that many of us are living in very expensive storage containers. 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,200 square foot storage containers. Not just for our stuff. I mean, my stuff is bad enough. I still have stuff from my kids. And then some of us have also inherited things. So it becomes like multi-generational stuff. I understand. I truly, truly understand better than you know. So this is some of the financial impact. And you know what's so fascinating to me is that self-storage containers, facilities are one of the biggest growing segments of the real estate market. So people are really just deferring the decision by putting it all into a storage container. And now they even have these new reality TV shows where people go in and they buy people's abandoned storage lockers, right? I've seen it happen. And our goal in working with you is to get it so that you don't have that storage container offsite, that you've pared down your belongings by the time you move, that you're only taking with you the things that you love, that are the best, and that enhance your life. Okay, so this is really an interesting segment of the real estate market as I've seen, but we really want to avoid it. It's very, very costly to rent surplus storage. Can I just pause here and tell you a little anecdote? Over the summer last year, my next door neighbor started to pave over his backyard with patterned concrete. And I thought, oh, isn't that nice? He's going to have a patio out there. And as the summer went on, the patio increased. And then all of a sudden, there are these permanent structures affixed to the house, like a lean-to, like a shed. Not a very attractive thing. Then all of a sudden, I see workmen there, and they are assembling sheds. 3 sheds now sit where his grass used to be, and a lean-to. So a total of 4 different new structures in his backyard last summer. And then what did he start doing? He started filling them with boxes and containers and storage of all sorts. Hockey equipment, skis, and then as the weather became inclement, some of them were open, so he shrink wrapped everything. So now the lovely view over our fence is what looks like pallets or skids of stuff that are shrink wrapped. He doesn't have a storage problem. He has a stuff problem. So now he has spent all this time and money and effort to create a place where he can warehouse his surplus, but he can't actually access it because it's all shrink wrapped. So that's an extreme case, but I think to a lesser degree, we can all say that we suffer the same. So this is so funny. I'm always excited when I see a dumpster on the driveways of my neighbors because I think big renovation. And I think, wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't it be fun just to get a dumpster and have it done with? What would that cost? A couple of $100? And I think that would be a great way to celebrate Harold's 25th wedding anniversary. So we all understand that clutter is a problem. We understand that it's costing us in time, in efficiency, in money, in emotional well-being. But what are the things that hold us into this situation? We are all smart, attractive, successful people. So what could it possibly be that we would be holding on to this stuff for? Well, this is a little bit of a self-diagnosis, okay? These are the most common reasons in air quotes, that I find, but what really is the truth? So we're going to talk about the self-sabotaging reason, and then we're going to talk about the truth that counteracts that, if you will. So in life, there is always a balancing truth. And we have an obligation, if we want to change our situation, to hold on to that truth and let it control what we are deciding rather than the misleading statements we sometimes say. So Maybe you are holding on to things because you feel guilty. Maybe it's a matter that you were given this and you feel that somehow it is disloyal, perhaps, to get rid of it. Somebody that you care about gave it to you and you would feel guilty about getting rid of it. Well, the real value of something is how it improves your life. And if it is not improving your life or serving your current need, well, then it really isn't of value. And if you're so wrapped up in the concern about feeling guilty, let's replace that with a feeling of liberation and freedom, that we don't have to hold on to things that don't serve our lives. Now, going across the top, similarly, we have a sentimental attachment. Oh, I am guilty as charged of this. And I had boxes of preschool and elementary school keepsakes for my 4 daughters. Yes, I have 4 daughters. First kid gets like the bulk of the sentimental boxes. The second gets a little less, the third, but the fourth, I don't even know if I could find her report cards. So what I realized was that I was holding on to this as a sentimental attachment of my time as a stay-at-home mom and how I cherish those times. And I really had to tell you that when my eldest daughter, the one with the 47 boxes of tchotchkes from preschool, when she moved back home, she helped me to see that really my attachment to those years didn't have to be through the physical keeping of macaroni crafts. I could actually even just take a picture of it or enjoy it and remember it and discard it. So I really like the idea of photographing the things that are sentimental and then letting them go. How many of you fall into this third category? You might need it someday. Oh my goodness, I hear this all the time. I might need it someday. I cannot tell you how many homes I have walked into to list them, and behind the furnace are scraps of lumber, old shelves, bottles of fasteners from things long gone, and it's all because we might need it someday. Well, maybe that's true, but here's a couple of other things to consider. Number one, you can put an expiry date on this. If you haven't used it by this time, 3 months from now, or even this time next year, out it goes. Or if it's been a couple of years since you've had use for it, get rid of it. And I think you know that if you were to somehow suddenly need it again, you have the means and the ability to replace it. But the likelihood is you won't. I've gone into homes where there were bolts of fabric and bags of clothes that were not going to be used, but they just thought in case they might need it in the future. Now, here's a similar one. The idea that you have spent good money on this. This really relates particularly to dining room sets. Can I tell you? And I understand when I was first married, we traveled all the way to Quebec to pick up this beautiful cherry Duncan Fife style dining room set. And it was a lot of money back then for us as newlyweds. But I have to tell you, it's done its service to us. It's like having a car that reaches, 200,000 kilometers and you say, that thing doesn't owe me a dime. Well, it's already done what it was supposed to do. And if it's not something that is going to enhance your future and it's something that actually is holding you back, don't let the fact that you spent good money on it hold you back from letting it go. Letting it go so that you can have freedom and not be tied to possessions. Little sidebar, another little anecdotal comment. I remember hearing that Joan Rivers once said, I don't really see her as a fount of wisdom, but this was pretty wise. She said, never love something that doesn't love you back. So true. We hold on to things because we spent a lot of money, because we love them, but they're actually more than we need. Now, here's a common one. You are saving it for family. I have a question for you. Do they know? Have you had that conversation with them? I had this conversation with one of my daughters. I had a cradle. I think this cradle had about 4,000 kilometers on it from all the rocking back and forth. And I was saving it for one of my someday grandbabies. They said to me, "Ma, we don't want that. This isn't safety code. What are you trying to do? Kill your grandkid?" It's like, okay. So out to the curb it went, and within 30 minutes it was gone. So somebody had good use of it. So do they know you're saving it? Do they even want it? And here's the third one. What's the retrieval plan? So if you get nothing else from our conversation here today, please, will you have that conversation with the people that you are holding things on to for? And if they don't want it, let's make a plan to get it out. And if they do want it, let's make a plan to get it out. Okay, so then we move on to an idea that you think it's an investment. There are very few an investment. There are some exceptions, and we do have a list of the things that have current resale value, but I'm very sorry to say that your Royal Doulton figurines or your fancy teacups are not usually one of them. I guess that actually falls more into the idea that you spent good money for it, but it also can apply to things like stamps and coins. They are very illiquid investments. You really do need to get an expert in to determine their actual value and give you an appraisal of it, both for insurance and also for resale. And I'm going to suggest that unless you get rid of it now, your kids are not going to know what to do with it, and its investment value will be lost. So consider that ahead of time. So then there are luxury items that you really enjoy having around you that make you feel good, and you would like those pretty things. Nothing wrong with that, but maybe you don't need all the pretty things. Maybe you just need the best for your future. And then we do have people who just find comfort in what they own, and they like having all those things around them. Again, a sense of security. So we have some misplaced financial understanding. We also have some misplaced emotional connection to items. And I also want you to consider that it may be a physical objection or blockage, that just the work of doing it physically feels like more than you can handle. So if you have some other reason that isn't on this list of the things that I commonly hear, let me ask you, if you heard that same reason coming from a friend, what would you say back to them? Whatever that reason is, what is the advice you would give to a good friend who was struggling with the same blockage that you were? If you detach from it emotionally and just look at it with a bit of an outside perspective, you're going to say that things are not as daunting, are not as overwhelming as you perceive. Okay, are you with me so far? We can have reasons or we can have results. You can't have both. So the fact that you're here today suggests to me that you are ready to get over the hump, get past the blockages, and work on a streamlined lifestyle for a happier and a more free feeling future. So one of the things we know is that this did not all just suddenly appear in your basement or your garage one day. Am I right? It's not like a semi-trailer backed up your driveway and a chute was put down into your basement and just boxes and boxes and boxes were in there overnight. The clutter fairies did not descend upon you. These things have all been accumulating over time. And the longer you are in a home, the more it seems we accumulate. And I'm the same thing. I have the same thing in my townhouse that I'm sitting in right now. We have purged and we have decluttered and we have purged and we're still full to the gunnels. So it's not an event, it's a process. And that process is something that we can undertake together. Okay? Son, I've been saving my best stuff for you. You're welcome. This goes back to our point about saying, well, I'm saving it for my kids or my grandkids. Let them know. Let them know. Will you promise that if you have things that you're saving, you will let them know and make a plan for it to go out? Promise yourself. Don't promise me. Promise yourself. Okay, so same thing. We see so many of these items now on auction sites, the crystal dark or the Royal Dalton figurines or the expensive China sets. Well, first of all, why aren't you using them? Why are you not using your very best every day rather than letting them get dusty in a China cabinet or get them out and use no time like the present. So maybe Cheryl does not want your stuff. I'm almost guaranteeing you that Cheryl doesn't want it, okay? Any more than the son wants it. So we have to make sure we're very clear as to why we are holding on to those things. There's that dumpster cartoon, misplaced from the other one. So yes, wouldn't that be nice to have a dumpster come? Maybe that's what I should do. Maybe we should have a contest. Everybody who comes to our decluttering workshop, we should put their name into a draw and I will get you a dumpster. I think that would be a fun contest. Okay, so again, we are starting from the standpoint of a realtor, helping you create a plan so that you can get the most money for your house. Now, it's not just about the money, it's also about how long it takes for your house to sell. Those are the two yardsticks that I measure my performance by. It's easy to focus on the number. We want to get the highest price, obviously, but there's another factor, and that is we want to have your home sell quickly. And there are not too many people I've noticed that can really picture a home that is cluttered and actually see it as their own. So let's prepare to do battle. I'm going to tell you, without exception, this is the #1 thing you can do to improve the resale value of your home, without a doubt in my mind. If I was to say to you that every garbage bag you took out added $100 to your home value, I don't think I would be far off. So we're going to start by getting ready for battle. Just like I said, the enemy is clutter and we're going to do battle. Now, when we use this military metaphor of like a campaign, we want to think of how you would plan any other type of big endeavor. I have full confidence in you that whoever you are, wherever you're coming from today, you have gone through much bigger challenges in life than decluttering your basement. Am I right? 100%. And if you can do that, you can do this. If I wasn't using this battle metaphor, maybe the other metaphor I would consider using is like training for a marathon. I know I may not look it, but I have run 4 half marathons. I didn't just one day wake up, put on my running shoes, and head for the start line of that race, did I? I took time and I worked on it over time. And this is the same kind of process that we are going to do with decluttering. Experts have shown that consistent small effort applied over time is going to net you the biggest and best results. Just like you don't walk into a gym and do all of your month's workouts in one day, you don't do this all in one day either. This is going to be something that we chip away at over time. But where does it start? It starts by declaring D-Day, decluttering day. I'm going to tell you why you need why this is an important first step. I want you to write it on the calendar. Maybe it's the change of the month. What's today? Today is the 21st. Maybe you're going to give yourself until the beginning of November, November 1st. We are writing it on the calendar. Why? Because if you start the date, if you write the start date, you're not just relying on motivation and emotion, you're creating a plan. Now, if you want to increase the chances of success, you're going to tell somebody about this. You're going to put them on notice if they are the people who are using your basement as a free storage locker. You're going to say to them, hey, I really have decluttering as a priority for the month of November, and I would like you're going to be scoring for you. Okay, so we are going to declare D-Day, we are going to give notice, and then, like any good field general, we are going to gather our weapons. And in this case, it's going to be supplies like, oh, these are my favorite thing. These are the contractor garbage bags that you can get from Home Depot. They're thick, they're tall. I swear you could fit a body in them if you needed to. And they count as one garbage bag as long as they can lift it. So we're going to get our contractor garbage bags. We are going to get extra garbage tags from the municipality office. You can get those lots of times at recreation centers near you, so that when we fill up the garbage bag, we've got no excuse. It just goes right to the curb and off it goes. We are going to get storage bins, preferably clear with lids, so that as you are sorting through things, you have a place to automatically put them. We never want to touch something more than once. If you pick it up, you deal with it. And whether that's garbage or storage or donation box, have those ready for you so that you've got nothing standing in the way between you and your newfound inspiration to declutter. I also want you to think of masking tape, packing tape, permanent markers, and a utility knife. Again, because when we use boxes from the grocery store, if you can even find them, we want to label them clearly that we don't accidentally donate or throw out things that we were intending to keep. Okay, so we are going to gather the supplies next. And then finally, I want you to visualize the victory, because this is not all unremitting hard drudgery and labor. I want there to be a light at the end of the tunnel that you're moving towards. And maybe that is just visualizing what it's like to get back a room or two in your house. Maybe it's you're going to give yourself a treat of a new outfit that is actually in your current size rather than the closet jam full of this size and this size and this size and this size. Okay. Maybe it's that you're going to take your honey out on a special drive-through. It'd have to be drive-through these days, date night, if you sell some items, and you're going to use the proceeds from that. So there's all different things that are personal to you, but I want you to think of what that carrot might be to encourage you to keep with it. At the end of our presentation today, you're going to have an opportunity to sign up for a 30-day decluttering challenge, and included in those 30 days are rest days or bonus days, okay? Because I think that's important to build into your schedule as well. Okay, so we have started strong. We've got everything we needed, so there's no frustrations and no practical obstacles to us moving forward. And now we are going to start taking back the territory. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We are not allowing this to hold us any longer. We are going to gradually get free. One of the things that I mentioned was not trying to do it all in one day. It's going to be so unpleasant you're not going to want to do it again. So what we recommend is what's called the Pomodoro method. Have you ever heard of it? It was actually developed by a university lecturer who was working with graduate students who were really having a hard time keeping focused and efficient. And after studies, he found out that 25 minutes was the golden amount of time that people could work on a single task without distraction and have maximum efficiency. The Pomodoro method is the Italian word for tomato. Pomodoro is a tomato, and it's those little kitchen tomato timers. And if I find myself procrastinating, which I sometimes do, I set the timer on my phone or on the stove for 25 minutes, and you will be amazed at how much you can get done in 25 minutes. It's not such a long time that you're dreading it, but it's not such a short time that it makes no difference. So the Pomodoro method allows you to take a break after 25 minutes and then want to do another 25. You can, I use this all the time, not just about decluttering, but for other tasks that I'm avoiding. You know, we all have a natural inclination to procrastinate on the things that we don't really want to do, whether that's housework or garden work or, you know, some unpleasant banking task or whatever it is. Rather than ostrich about it, I use this all the time by setting the timer for 25 minutes. Now, if you were to do 25 minutes a couple of times a week, unbelievable how much effect that would have. Now, we're also going to talk about chunking territory. I do not recommend a whole home approach where you're just kind of flitting from here to there to there to there. I like to encourage you to stay in the room that needs your attention the most until it's about 80% done. It's always that last 20 that holds you up. Have you found that? When you pull out all the clothes from your cupboard, there are some obvious things that you sort through, keep, donate, whatever, but there's always those kind of maybes. And if we wait until we're 100% done, we're never going to be done. So just get to about 80% complete and then you can move on. Okay? So chunking territory, we recommend that you work within the area that needs it the most. Why is that? Okay, well, it's because we only have so much motivation in a day. Studies have shown that it's like almost like a gas tank. And if you start your chunking of the territory early in the day, we know that you have a greater likelihood of doing it. People who work out often say that they do it first thing in the morning and they get it out of the way. I'm going to encourage you to take that approach here as well. But by staying in the area that needs it the most, you're going to see the best rewards first. And it creates a beautiful positive feedback loop. If you start on the lesser things like, you know, the spice cupboard or the Tupperware drawer or whatever, then it's almost like going on a diet, but only eliminating French fries. You feel deprived, but you don't see any benefits. So let's keep where we need it the most, and then we'll go back and get those easy wins as time progresses. I have to stop here and tell you, though, that there is a caution of not starting with paperwork. Please do not start with paperwork or with photos. Can you guess why? Because they are a rabbit hole from which many a well-intentioned declutterer has never been seen again. So you go down that rabbit hole and you sit and you start going through pictures, and you become emotional, you're happy, you got to phone your sister and tell her what you found, and then before you know it, you've gotten actually nothing done. Leave paperwork and leave photos until the end. Just pile up the boxes, put them all in one space, and then when you've done the other big ticket items in your home, you can go back, and one day in front of the TV or one night when you're watching a movie, you can start sorting those things. Okay, so talking about paper, we just had a community shredding event, and it was so much fun to have our clients come bring their boxes of shredding, staples and all, and have them dumped into the big on-site shredder. It was a lot of fun. Okay, so we are going to start strong and we are going to take back territory. Nobody wins a military campaign, a battle, all in one day, right? It's a gradual, incremental improvement to your situation that we're aiming for. Sometimes when the army of one or two isn't strong enough, we need to call in some reinforcements. Am I right? Sometimes it's just a matter of the physical work of taking down a big box or whatever it is. It's just beyond our ability. So I think this is the time in your life when you deserve to take some withdrawals of all the social currency you've been banking. For all the times that you babysat, dog sat, house sat, all those times where you were a help and a benefit to somebody else, now this is the time when you need the help. And I don't know why this is, but sometimes it seems like other people's junk is not as daunting as my junk. So I actually think this is a wonderful opportunity for somebody to help you out, and they're not going to have the same hang-ups about it as you are. So it doesn't have to be some big drudgery. Maybe it's a party. Maybe it's a pizza party where if they are in your bubble, if these are family and they're in your bubble, you call them over for a Saturday afternoon of helping you, and then, you know, order in some pizzas. Or this is a good idea. I have kids in university. They have not had a home cooked meal since they left. So giving them a home cooked roast beef dinner for doing some work out in the garage, that is a very appealing offer to many of them. Or some pocket money. Maybe that's the case where it's just a matter that you pay for their gas to come up and help you. All of these things can be a way where you utilize the network directly around you to help you, both in terms of accountability, but also the physical labor involved in it. Okay, so if the reinforcements in your army are not available or are not able, we may have to call in some professionals. This may be where you hire mercenaries. And I don't mean just your grandkid who comes and for 20 bucks helps you to set up some online sales. Facebook Marketplace is a wonderful way to offload some of your surplus items. And maybe you actually pay them a commission on helping you get rid of the things. Or if we are ever allowed to have garage sales and things like that again, you say, you help me with the garage sale and we'll split the proceeds 50-50 or 30-70 or 80-20, whatever it is that you decide. But running things online for you is a great service that the younger people in your life can help you with. And if they're not available, there are a ton of professional companies who do this exact thing. We have a list of those companies that we'll be sending out to you. So there are a ton of online auction companies who come in and they literally organize everything into lots. They photograph it, they put it up on their website, and they advertise. And guess what? People pay by credit card. So at the end of it, they just cut you a check for the net proceeds, and there's no security issue because they also coordinate pickup time, either at your location or theirs. So these are some wonderful services that are cropping up. And why are they cropping up? Because people are burdened with clutter and they need a way to get rid of it. So this helps to address that one obstacle about, hey, I paid good money for that dining room set. Well, unfortunately, you're not going to get what you think it probably is worth. But in my book, getting something is better than nothing. There's also some wonderful opportunities for you to donate. We'll get into that as well. So I want you to think of the outcome. I want your life to be bigger by being smaller. okay? I want you to think about choosing a way forward. And there are two different kinds of freedom. There is freedom to and freedom from. Right now, you are free to hold on to as much stuff as your home can offer you. But when you actually think of the usable space that you are paying for, you might be shocked. Let's just talk about it in terms of Toronto average real estate prices. The average home is over $1 million in Toronto, but let's just round it down to $1 million. You're living in $1 million house that has 8 to 10 rooms, of which you're only actually using 3. 70% of that $1 million is not being utilized for anything other than storage. That's a huge storage bill, isn't it? When you think of it in those terms. So we want you to have the very best in life, but it's going to be a matter of working through it over time and working with us for the next part of our webinar, which is called Campaign, Divide, and Conquer. Okay, continuing the military metaphor. So for everyone who has been on our introduction here today, we'd like to offer you a chance to partner with us for 30 days, absolutely free of charge. It's called our 30-day decluttering challenge. And here's an example of your very first email. These are all very time restricted items to do. It's a to-do list. It is some inspiration to go with your perspiration. That's my joke. I only have a few. But this is an example of the first task. In some ways, it contravenes what we've talked about in staying in the area that needs it most. But if you need that extra little bit of accountability and helping hand, we've got this all organized for you, and all you have to do is sign up, and we're going to send that to you. As well, we have a lot of other valuable resources for you that we're going to be emailing to you at the address that you signed up for, including getting down to brass tacks. So today's webinar was intended to set the stage, to help set the mindset. Because as I started this by saying, you don't have a stuff problem, you have a procrastination problem. And I want to help you with that. And we have some tried and true methods of getting to the next step, which is practical application. Okay, so I hope you'll join us for part 2. And this is an example of the 30-day decluttering challenge, where everything is less than 25 minutes to get done. And at the end of it, we guarantee you will lose 30 pounds of ugly junk. This would be a great time for you to type into our chat box, because we're going to start answering some questions, okay? So if you have comments or questions, or you have specifics that you'd like us to try to address, we'll do our best. But I want you to know that we will be sending this to you as well, so that you can review. Okay, so everything that you need is going to be sent to you. Now, one of the big things that we love doing is coming from an educational standpoint, including things about property options. So we have this very cool program of condo tours, where we take you to look at 6 to 8 different condos that are currently for sale, and we take you through them virtually. I teach you how to read an MLS sheet, and you're going to see what the property options are in the various communities. We always search for condos that are 2 bedrooms or larger, at least 1,000 square feet, and you're going to be able to see what kind of amenities, what kind of layouts. We're going to look at older condos, which tend to be larger, and newer condos, which tend to be fancy. Okay, so we're always looking for ways to give you information that you can use. So I'm just going to have a look at the chat box here and say, okay, so the blockages chart, yes, you're going to get everything that we presented today. And where can we get rid of our valued tchotchkes? We can't just throw them out. No, you can't. There are certain things, Esther, that are of value, and there are collectors for them. There are niche collectors of everything. And I would do a Google search for the thing in particular that you wanted to get rid of. We also have partnerships with online auction companies that will help you if you have a lot of stuff. If it's a matter of doing a downsizing sale or like a mini estate sale where you have a lot of items to get through, then that's another source of it as all. Silver serving pieces to sell. There are some high-end consignment shops that you can consider. The one that I know that's closest to me is called Millionaire's Daughter, but most of the time those high price, those high ticket items are things that you, again, should Google a resource for in terms of getting them sold. I don't think most of us have sterling silver. That's a different category. Most of what we have usually is silver plate. So then it becomes a matter of getting as much money as possible for it. Condo, says William. That's an interesting problem. I want you to think of condo in a broader sense than just a high-rise apartment. One of the things that I love to do is to create personal solutions for people. So one of the big things right now has been looking for ground floor units for my clients who can access their unit without having to use the elevators. So that's we actually just did this. We had a downsizer in Unionville. He sold his beautiful home in Unionville and bought an absolutely stunning condo overlooking a golf course at Angus Glen in Markham. And we found a ground floor unit. So he just can go right in from the main lobby and not have to worry about the elevators. So having a large outdoor space can be kind of a mitigation of that feeling of being claustrophobic. So that's another popular offer now, are looking for condos that have a terrace, even more than a balcony. Or think of condo as in condo townhouse. This is where you have your own front entrance, no central lobby, very low maintenance fees, and there are even condo bungalows. Yes. Bungalows, meaning all your primary rooms are on one level. The outside is taken care of, so that's the condo part, and then sometimes they are a townhouse or a detached. So condo isn't necessarily a type of building or property, it's a type of ownership where you are paying into common fees. There are some gorgeous condo townhouses in Thornhill. And if I had concerns about shoveling snow or cutting grass or worrying about, roof and windows and all that kind of stuff, this would be something I would seriously consider. As a matter of fact, we're going to be holding a condo tour of townhouses next month, okay? Because I think this is a very underutilized intermediary step for people who are considering downsizing. You're not ready for a box. That's what people think. Well, I'm going to tell you that on our condo tour, we regularly find condos that are 1,600 square feet. I was in one yesterday, 1,540 square feet, and it was $750,000. So my clients, if they go ahead and purchase this, are going to have a nice little nest egg. Okay, so enough about that, but I just wanted to attach that. So you like my idea of a dumpster prize? I think that would be a lot of fun. Sign up today for winning a dumpster. Wouldn't your neighbors be curious? Okay, any other questions? I want to be very respectful of your time, but also tell you about the other webinars that we hold. Like I said, decluttering is the #1 thing that I hear about in my real estate practice over and over again, but it's not the only one. We hear things about renovations. What should I do to my house to prepare it for sale? What do I do about the ducky wallpaper and the dusty rose carpet on the stairs? Should I pull that out? Should I put in a granite kitchen? Well, you know what? that's a conversation to be had. And then we also talk about getting ready to downsize. Like you can see, a lot of what we're talking about is a combination of practical, but also kind of a mindset. And then many clients are interested in staging. What is staging? Why is it important? Do I need to stage my house? What's the benefit? When I sold my home the last time, we didn't stage it. It was enough just to tidy it up. But today, because of the way buyers find your house online, it's very important. And I'm going to give you some things that you can do for yourself that are helpful and practical. And now when we're talking about the decluttering, we're going to come back next week and we are going to get back down to the rest of this in very specific detail. Okay? How to come from a position of strength, and then also we're going to make sure that you have the resources you need. Are there any additional questions, comments? Are you feeling inspired? Are you heading out to Home Depot to get some contractor garbage bags? I hope so. Are you going to have that phone call with your kids and tell them to stop using your basement as free storage? I hope so. So these are my hopes for you. Any further questions? I am weary. Oh, junk services. Yes, I really do like 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They are very, very professional, courteous, and like me, it's a shame-free service. You know what? My very first real estate deal was with a hoarder. So after that, I am completely unflappable. Everybody always feels like they have to apologize for the clutter, but that's not the point here. The point here is to get you free. Freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of mindset. These are all the things that count in our current situation more than ever. Making your home into a safe haven in every way possible. Okay, so that's really our joy. Our joy is to help people get unstuck, whatever that means for them. So we call our company S.M.A.R.T Realty Solutions because we love to provide the solutions that make a big difference in your life. Will you come back next week? I hope you will. And we're going to make sure that if you want to sign up for our decluttering challenge, that you have the opportunity as well. I'm glad that you found it informative and inspiring. We have 3 more minutes together. Is there anything that people would like to ask? Specific items that you are questioning. Recommendations. Musical interlude. Yes? No? Maybe? Well, if you found today helpful, let me just make a request of you. Would you please tell a friend? Would you please send them to our website, smartrealtysolution.com, singular, and let them sign up as well. It's been so much fun to share this with you. I'm feeling inspired, or maybe that's just caffeinated. I'm not sure. But regardless, we all have things that we can be chipping away at over time to make our home environment exactly what we need it to be. Okay? Any more questions? Any more comments? Okay, well, it's been a real treat to have each of you here. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.